Have you ever heard of a thing called MJBYY?
Hey chums, welcome to Web Original. As I've mentioned in my other episode, the purpose of this show is not really critique, it's more about recommending, via light analysis, something that's worth checking out, regardless of how good it is. Today, you're going to see exactly what I mean by that. So, My Jungle Book Your Year is a 15-episode YouTube animation released from early 2011 to late 2012. It was made using MS Paint and Movie Maker by a pair of high schoolers, and it shows. The audio quality is terrible at parts, and is especially incomprehensible during scenes with this guy. Don't worry too much about him though, he's a cool guy. It's clumsy, it's weird, its aspect ratio is often inconsistent. It's also got a relatively small, but loyal following. But here's the thing, I'm a part of that following, because it is one of the more fun pieces from a tradition known as Fanime. For those of you who aren't super familiar with the term, some explanation may be in order. Let's zoom back to the past, to 2005. YouTube has just been launched and you, yes, you really love anime and you wish you could be just like your favorite animators. So what do? You whip out whatever free software came pre-installed on your computer and get to work making your own animated fanfiction. A fan-anime. A Fanime. Fanime started as fan-made spin-offs of magical girl anime like Sailor Moon and Mermaid Melody, but over time the term has expanded to include original works by fans of anime at large. These creators didn't just set out to make animation, they wanted to make full anime, and that distinction makes the world of a difference. Instead of making polished 10 to 30 second animations, latching on to American trends surrounding Disney, memes, and video game culture, these hobbyists went all in, weeaboo style. They set out to do what an entire Japanese studio could do with a budget. As such, the only ones that managed to get past conception were the ones that learned to take shortcuts. For example, Elemental Goddess, one of the first Fanime ever made, has a ton of scenes that are traced from Sailor Moon, and the ones that aren't look pretty bad. But hey, this may be a terrible argument, but when's the last 6-episode series you finished? That's what I thought. While some definitely find it appealing to know that these are fan works produced with no professional tools, budget, or experience, the world at large met most Fanime with mockery. This led many Fanimators to claim ironic purposes in order to justify their seemingly futile efforts to make their very own anime. Fanime everywhere began to include elements parodying their own genre, medium, and the entire medium became forever entangled with ironic humor. Unfortunately, I believe that this form of irony has become a sort of crutch that people hide behind, and I'm getting my metaphors mixed up, but many viewers and creators alike have come to use irony as an easy defense for enjoying or creating something that they believe their peers will view as bad. Look in the comments section of most Fanime if you want to watch young teens argue about whether the creator was being sincere, only declaring it safe to enjoy if they determine that the creator made the series as a joke. And that's something that has always bugged me. I used to be all about ironic humor. I love really stupid things. I made a 15-minute video declaring my love for Problem Sleuth. But it was reading these types of comments that really made me think about how I was viewing the things I loved. I came to imagine all these people putting time and work into a project only to have their biggest fans say that they only like their work as a joke. That didn't resonate with me, because I actually admire anyone who's got what it takes to finish things and put them out there. That's no small feat. And I have since put a lot of thought into what gives a work value. See, My Jungle Book Your Year is not good. It is also not bad. It's both of the above, depending on your definition. I don't think I like My Jungle Book Your Year ironically, and I don't think it's because what looks good to me looks bad to other people. Subjectivity doesn't actually work like that. It's more about prioritization of values. I think recognizing any work as good depends on whether or not you recognize and care about the inherent points of value within it, even if subconsciously. That's why I think arguments of value can be made. Our language is just not designed to discuss value accurately. But I digress. I think the ultimate form of what we've been calling irony is actually a kind of sincerity. Unless your attention is subsisting solely on the novelty of literally consuming proverbial garbage, there's got to be something to legitimately engage with. At a certain point, I think continuing to say, "Oh, I just like this as a joke," is probably just your pride talking. I think the full enjoyment of a work with that ironic vibe only really comes with the humility to recognize both the flaws of the work and how the flaws play a part in the actual enjoyment you gain from it regardless. But that can't be all of it, because there really are some things that are just for the lulz. I mean, I still say, "Yeah, Nickel Sugar Girls," as a joke, but that's not how I feel about Problem Sleuth. Then, I watched My Jungle Book Your Year, and it all made sense. I went in prepared for a joke, but I came out sincerely enjoying the series. See, purely ironic works are like SpongeBob ripping his pants for attention. It's funny, I guess, but who's gonna forge a lasting relationship with the ripped pants guy? For you to really engage with a work, to care about the characters or plot, there has to be something there beyond irony, and that's where the creators of My Jungle Book Your Year apply an understanding of what I've decided to call the cusp of sincerity. But speaking of the creators of My Jungle Book Your Year, I got the chance to speak with the two main gals behind the show, Helena and Alyssa. I believe they might best be able to explain this, so don't take my word for it.
I can say regarding MJBYY, I had asked Alyssa something like, "Do you want me to write a purposefully bad script or actually try on it?" And she said both. I do get a little bothered with how some people treat Fanime. I see a lot of people say things like, "I actually like this non-ironically," which doesn't really feel like a compliment. When I first started making Fanime, I did treat it like a joke. I made everything without putting that much effort into it. That way, if people comment something mean, it means you won. I was worried that if I actually put effort into something, it wouldn't turn out good. MJBYY was the first time I actually tried hard on making a series. Since quite a few people liked it, it really changed how I create. I'm not afraid to put effort into my Fanime anymore.
I love that cusp of intentional irony in well-polished works. I think it reaches a weird world between the realm of reality and fantasy. There's a certain uncanny valley to it, a level of intrigue it gives all the characters. It's as if you're in a dream, where everything seems like it's where it should be, but something is off. Almost as if it's an exploration of the soul. Something you try and repress, but it's there somewhere, influencing everything around you. Metal Gear Solid, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Twin Peaks, One Punch Man. At closer inspection, the writing behind these can almost be considered bad. Like everything is about to fall apart at its seams. But in this specific and magical way, it all comes together into a stronger reality, like a children's fantasy that's built upon its own rules. To be perfectly honest, the animation I did for the show at the beginning isn't good at all. A lot of people are right when they make that criticism, but my style was strong at the time, and the writing and comedic timing held it together. Things don't always have to be perfect. If everybody liked perfect things, then we'd all like the same things, and there'd be no difference between people's passions. There'd be no odd little corners where you can find something that specifically speaks to you and transports you into your own little world.
And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. The whole series skirts this line, sometimes dipping into ridiculousness, sometimes swinging towards melodrama. What might be unacceptable from a professional studio with a budget ends up being somewhat inspiring coming from a pair of high schoolers, and the unprofessional elements combine with the parts that clearly have effort put in to create this unique charm. Now, let's actually talk about MJBYY, for real. The art, the plot, all that jazz. Well, I guess you can see the art, so there's not really that much more I can say about that. It's got a certain je ne sais quoi, subpar in delivery, yet founded in a strong sense of overall design and atmosphere. The character designs are easily recognizable, and the directing is decent, especially in the openings. But don't get me started on that, that's a video of its own. My Jungle Book Your Year's title has almost nothing to do with the story, so don't worry about it. It's about a girl with wings in her hair, for no discernible reason, named Demonica Bishi, and her way beyond just ditzy best friend, Ribbonista Hime. And I mean way beyond ditzy. As my southern relatives would say, oh bless her heart. They enter their first year of Japanese high school, where they encounter a cast of students with even stupider names. Ready? Let's go! Fufu Footy Footy Poopy is stiff and awkward. He's Demonica's rival for student council president for reasons, and he can turn into a praying mantis dude. Demonica can turn into a cat person too, but they don't do it much. Cones is a dinosaur, which no one really questions, mostly. He helps Furry, and Ribbonista ends up crushing on him, all weird-like. He's insecure, but hey, he's a dinosaur, give him a break. Marvel's helping Furry for different reasons. She hates cones, and she's got no sense of shame, and I think she's a Satanist. Vaguely Green's the mysterious foreign exchange student from the USA. She's based on and voiced by Helena's sister Lily, and is comically irrelevant to the plot. Cookie Girl and Cookie Dude are a violent tsundere parody duo. They get a bit too violent sometimes, but that's okay because the dude can't die. Why cookies? Well, here's a humorously vague 5-word explanation for you. Sanrio twin star cookie necklaces. And there you have it. Then there are side characters like Dangerous, Bouncy, Ribbonista but cooler, this chick, Kurimu Man, all of whom appear throughout the story. As everyone knows also, all Americans have puns for names, like Vaguely's father, Clearly Green, or her boyfriend, Hardly Appropriate, or Furry's favorite American pinup model, Barely Legal. There's also video game characters sprinkled throughout the show, mostly just Link. And that's all of them. I did it! In one take! Yes! Well, Furry keeps running into the vending machine, so he wants to become student council president and ban them from the school. But since they are the only suppliers of Demonica's favorite ice cream, she enters the presidential race to stop him. The plot is driven by Demonica and Furry's rivalry, although it spends most of its time on slice-of-life antics. It's got the culture festival episode, the pool episode, the beach episode, your standard high school anime fare. As it turns out, the plot was actually thought out, which becomes apparent as the series goes on. There's even a reason Furry and Demonica can transform, although it's not really explained outright, but it'll make sense to those who pay attention. Episode 1 starts with a cold open to a scene that looks like it's from the finale, and it makes you think the tone is more serious than it is. It takes until episode 6 to really pick up, but it starts getting especially good in the last 5 episodes. That's the point where I really started loving the series, rooting for characters, and wondering how it ends. Also, someone finally says that it's weird for cones to be a dinosaur in episode 12! How did no one point this out earlier? In all seriousness though, the longer this series goes on, the better it all gets. The plot, the comedy, the animation. The whole series also has a ton of Easter eggs and side gags, especially in those last 5 episodes. Squid ink noodles, Cookie Girl growing a flesh-eating wolf head, can't you keep a leash on your sister? Whatever's going on with the OJ here. That somewhat out-of-place Sherlock Holmes reference, and I'll never be able to forget. Good night, cones!
Fanime's been my main creative outlet for a long time. I think my sense of humor in my works will always sort of give off a vibe that I'm not taking myself too seriously. I always try to balance the comedy with the drama. Hopefully, if the jokes aren't that funny, people will stick around for the plot, or vice versa.
I know this stuff is more goofy than anything, and it's not for everyone, but gosh darn it, I love when shows with plots also don't take themselves seriously. I'm not going to go further into what happens during the series, both because I am already over time, and because I think it's much more fun to experience it first in its original format. I'd also like to draw your attention to the OPs of this series, but as I said, I could dedicate a whole video to that. And maybe one day I will. If you really want to see if MJBYY gets good later and don't care about light spoilers, then watch episode 11, the beach episode. If you like it, I think you'll be glad you watched the whole series. It'll take like 3 hours of your time, They're all still up except for episode 8, but the mirror is linked in the descriptions of episodes 7 and 9.
Always read the description.
I tried to skip episode 8 at first. It doesn't work. There are also a pair of goofy, pointless specials for Halloween and Christmas, which is certainly an experience. There's also a much more normal New Year's special for those who finished the series and wanted one more mini episode. I wish I could fit everything from our interviews into this video. I got some great things from both Helena and Alyssa about motivation and passion, but there's simply not enough time to do it all justice. I guess this is how all interviewers feel in this kind of situation. But such is life! Let me finish by saying that My Jungle Book Your Year is a cool piece of YouTube history. I'm not necessarily saying you'll like it, and I'm not necessarily saying it's an incredible work of art, but it's definitely something worth looking into. There's certainly a few things the creators would like to have changed, especially a few uncomfortable jokes, but they haven't taken their episodes down, as many early Fanime creators have chosen to do by now. There's a lesson to learn from works like these, and that's why I'm even making a video about it. It's not that it's wholly ironic, or that some parts are ironic and others sincere, but that the whole thing is somewhere between the two, with the creators taking their work seriously, but not themselves. For you aspiring creatives out there, I think it boils down to this. Make what you would make, and own it. I mean, I wouldn't expect Simon Cowell to applaud you if you aren't a practiced and talented singer, but hey, you can still hear Adam Sandler on the radio come Hanukkah time. It's all about knowing what you can do, finding a way to make it work, and keeping at it. 80s action movie directors knew their work was corny. Soap opera actors know their work is melodramatic. Newspaper comic writers know that a lot of their jokes are going to be duds. If there weren't people who accepted the apparent flaws as a crucial part of their work, we wouldn't have Metal Gear Solid, or Adventure Time, or Problem Sleuth, or most of the really cool things we have today. But anyway, that's
Why you should check out MJBYY.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, definitely take a look at MJBYY, and if that seems interesting to you, make sure to check out Helena's even more recent Fanime, Welcome to the Panties Warfront. It's not as inappropriate as it sounds. She does the animation on top of the writing for that one, and it's got a good deal of polish and a similar vibe to MJBYY. While it hasn't been updated in the past year, I finally released this vid after nearly 2, so anything's possible. In addition, you can check out Alyssa and what she's been up to at her Tumblr, where she uploads new art fairly regularly. She's developed a somewhat rough-looking but rather distinct style that emphasizes light, the way it defines 3D shapes, and the colors it causes us to perceive. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I like it. I'm currently working on learning the ins and outs of Patreon and Discord, trying to up my community game, so stay tuned for updates on that within at least the next 2 years. And thanks again for sticking around this far in the video. Give me some love in the comments, or your button of choice. I'm not saying you're a dummy who don't know how YouTube works. I'm saying interaction helps me bunches, so until I'm on Patreon, that's how you can best support me. I'm Spiffy, saying ciao for now.